I think what's important is being able to have a great relationship with your clients, being able to think about what they want.
Our focus is not on the transaction, it's on the relationship. In our industry, naturally, people do get too caught up in the transactional side of it. That's when you can lose track and sight of really what matters.
It's been times where I've actually contacted the owner. Your property's not selling because your agent is too greedy. There's been times where the owner's like completely oblivious, has no idea that their exclusive agent is behaving like this. The seller called me up and said, I fired the agent, can you represent my property? Sometimes people need to learn lessons. This is just not going to get you far in life.
Find a broker that you understand and that you're on the same wavelength with. Working with a good broker that understands what they're doing. The majority of the clients that I work with, the brokerage fee is negligible because the advice and the suggestions, and I'm sure it's exactly the same for you guys, the recommendations that you give them, even if it's just a telephone number for a bank for finance that gets them a lower rate than what they would have got themselves if they'd just gone to the bank that they typically go with, they're already saving the money just on that.
Welcome back, guys, to episode 3 of the Brown & Ferguson podcast. And today is an exciting day because we have our very first guest on this podcast. So welcome, Ainsley Duncombe.
Thank you for having me. Much appreciated. Pretty cool.
Ainsley, for those of you who don't know, is a rock star broker in Dubai, but is actually an international broker as well. We met over some deals in DIFC, and he has been featured in the Emirates In-Flight magazine and Arabian Business, the National Times, everything. So lots and lots of comparison coverage, and you've been killing it in the field. You've been making waves, and yeah, I love what you're doing. So if you could tell us a bit about yourself, your journey, a bit about you, and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, so I'll give the short version. I've been in the UAE almost 18 years now, so that's well before the Burj Khalifa was even built. So yeah, been here a little while. I've lived and worked around the world. I left the UK with £50 in my pocket, as many different people do, with the usual typical story. I've been fortunate enough to be able to work around the world. Canary Islands, I spent some time there, almost 10 years there. New York, worked on Wall Street there, which is pretty interesting.
Wow.
And also in the region. So I was formerly the International Business Director for Property Finder. So I opened up Property Finder in 6 countries for Michael, the founder, Qatar, Lebanon, Egypt, Morocco, Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. So that was pretty cool and pretty interesting.
That is some resume.
Yeah, and before that, I actually happened to be the Groupon, the CEO for Groupon, Middle East as well, to be fair. So we just throw that in there for a bit of extra.
Yeah.
Wow, we're learning a lot about you here.
In case the rest wasn't enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is staggering. And also, I think what's interesting is touching on the fact that you've been international and global. You've reached lots and lots of corners of the globe. And I think it's just so fascinating to me that I'll have these casual conversations with you and you'll be like, yeah, I'm flying out to the Maldives for a client of mine. He needs me there. And then I'm flying over there to meet this client. And I think that is a real example of going above and beyond for the client. I don't think many brokers can say that they've flown across the world for their clients. So that's super, super impressive.
I'd actually, just before we move on, I just want to unpack a bit of what you just said. Obviously, you've been on Wall Street, you said.
So I used to work in New York, on Wall Street, in America, but not Wall Street, not as in as a trader. I worked on the road, on the street.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I was doing advertising.
Oh, wow.
So at that point, we were making calls around the US. In fact, something that's a little bit quite interesting about that, one of the things, I mean, I'm going off topic a little bit, but it's still pretty interesting. So one of the questions that sometimes I get asked is, what's the difference in doing business in the Middle East as opposed to doing business in Europe, UK or US?
I was going to ask that, yeah.
So one of the things we noticed when I was working in New York and we were speaking to people across the whole of the States, we weren't just obviously calling people in New York.
Yeah.
One of the things we found over there, when we are selling a product, many of the Americans, all they really care about, what is it, what can it do for me, and how much does it cost?
Yeah.
Outside of that, they're really not that really interested in that much more outside of that, right? So that was typically how it used to work, speaking to people. But then when you come to the Middle East, it's very different because especially when you're doing things outside of like Dubai and in Saudi Arabia and businesses that we do, Egypt and that kind of thing, people are more interested in who are you, where are you from, and kind of where's your family from? Because based on that, if that kind of gives them the kind of the feedback that they're looking for, then the product that you're selling is kind of a little bit subsequently. It's not as important as who the actual person is, because they can obviously trace you back, through your family line. So that was really, really interesting.
That is interesting, and I think one of the things that I know we love about Dubai, and I'm sure you're the same, is it's a melting pot of cultures. It's a multicultural city. You have everyone from everywhere on the planet here right now. But do you still think we're yet to tap into that American market? Because there's not many of them here.
I'm not sure if we want to. I'm not sure if we want to be honest. I think the mixture that we have here is kind of we've got some good ingredients,
100%.
And I think we should work with what we've got and continue to nurture what we're doing, as opposed to looking at
Habibi, stop coming to Dubai. The traffic's too much.
Yeah.
We can barely get by.
It is getting busy, but the infrastructure's being built well.
Yeah.
And it can absorb it, accept it, and move towards where it needs to in order to kind of like enhance and kind of improve as well, which is pretty cool.
Well, we were just talking before that one of the other bonuses of having this place have so many nationalities here. You were saying your daughter's picking up a bit of Japanese at school, right?
Wow.
And he's going to take her to Japan. Next month.
We're in our half term. I'm not in school time.
Right.
Yeah, so in half term.
Just wants to put that out there now, guys.
I'm not taking her in school time. So in half term, I'm going to take her to Japan, so she can go and experience it and suck up some of the culture and stuff like that. But she's 6, so it's not going to be too hectic for her, I hope.
I've seen her on your Instagram, and like the wake surfing is so adorable because she really gives it everything.
Yeah,
you can see she's just fearless.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. Like, you get to wake up in this country, get to go wake surfing in the mornings, have a really, really wholesome day. Mm-hmm. And I think coming from the UK, it's a very different lifestyle. I mean, everyone bangs on about it, but it is because if you have to really live here to appreciate how great it is. So interestingly, obviously in real estate, and you've been an international broker, a lot of clients trust you with their portfolios. They will only deal with you. And I think that speaks volumes about your reputation as well in the market. So when I first met you, it was for clients that weren't even in the country, and you were basically scoping out the real estate for them on their behalf, and they trust you with your judgment. Talk us through a little bit about how you've landed this sort of clientele, this network, how you've got to the stage where they basically blindly trust you, and also a bit about your sort of approach to that.
I would love to say I'm good and I'm great, but it's just not true. I think if anybody you've been here almost 20 years, you're going to bump into a couple of people along the way. So I'd love to give myself credit for it, but I truly can't. I mean, I've been here so long. All of that being said, I do think a lot of it's to do with your mindset. Mm-hmm. And the mindset that I think I bring to it, because of the businesses that I worked in before, the tech businesses and the corporate structured business that I'd worked in before, the mindset that I have may well be different to how some other people may operate. Yeah. And based on that might give out different outcomes, and that might be something that kind of clients really gravitate towards. Mm-hmm. Because the way I'm focused, the way we work everything is based purely on what the client wants and what the client needs. Yeah. Now, where others may well think, well, what do I want and what do I need? That doesn't really come into it for me. And the reason for that is because I know that if I look after my client, then naturally that will then come back and that will then look after me later on down the road, if that makes sense.
That's very mirrored to what we think and our approach as well, is it really putting the client first, and anything that happens to us is a byproduct. Yep. And if it happens, it happens. It doesn't. It's not the end goal. The end goal is to build that relationship, build the trust, put the clients first. And one thing I think that's interesting, obviously you've been out here for so long, so many years, 20 years, and there's been a lot of people that have been out here for a long time, but then, fell out of real estate, didn't continue, chose alternate jobs. I mean, you've seen ups and downs of the markets, and people exited as being a real estate broker, but you persisted, you stayed, at it. My question is, when you decided to stick through it in the good and the bad times, the highs and the lows, what did you do to adjust and, be versatile? How How did you cope with all of that and navigate through the tough markets?
So I haven't been doing real estate for all of the tough markets. 2008 was obviously one of the ones that was most noticeable. So I wasn't doing real estate then. That's when I was working the corporate, some of the corporate positions and running international operations and stuff like that. So, but we've all seen, bumps and bumps in the road and that kind of thing. I think what's important is being able to have a great relationship with your clients, understand them. And it does go back to what I kind of said again. I know I sound like a broken record, but that is in as much as being able to think about, what they want. I can give you an example of it, and that might fall into, one of the best experiences I've had during real estate, okay? So I had a client, and he had 1 bedroom in Serena. He said, Ainsley, please sell this for me. No problem, sold it, done, dusted. He then afterwards, he didn't divulge this to me before, but afterwards he then said, I've got a villa in JVC that I would like you to sell. I said, no problem at all. That's totally fine. Let me come and have a look at it. I went, had a quick look at it with him. As he was walking me around the property, I could tell he was in love with the property. It was this, I brought this from Bali, I got this from here, I got this from there.
The attachment sinking in.
Yeah. No, but so I could tell he was in love with it. He still wanted to sell it, but I could tell he was in love with it. So he took me through it, showed me everything. And at the end of it, he said, what do you think? And I said to him, I'm not going to sell this for you. And he was like, what? I said, well, I already know you're leaving the country. Because you're relocating, but I also know that you've still got a business here, so you're going to be coming backwards and forwards to Dubai. I said, how about this? How about I short-term rent this for you? You let me know the dates when you're going to be coming back into the country, and I will make sure it's available so you can come and stay. He loved it. Now, for me, from my pocket, of course, I'm earning significantly less on a rental than I would on a sale.
Of course.
But I knew that what was most beneficial for him was the fact that he loved the property. He didn't really want to give it up. He wasn't selling it because he obviously needed the money. He was just selling it because he was leaving, so he thought that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So I said to him, in my opinion, I don't think it is, and I'm not going to be the one to sell it for you. He laughed. His jaw hit the floor because he couldn't believe it, because that's not a typical thing that a broker would say. But we agreed. And I short-term rented it for him. So, it
Must have been so refreshing to have a broker say, no, I'm not selling this. And here's why, because it's going to benefit you more keeping this asset and having it as your base.
Well,
as when you're
that's what we've always said, is that the focus, as soon as we started the company, we said our focus is not on the transaction, it's on the relationship. Because in our industry, naturally, people do get too kind of caught up in the transactional side of it, right? And that's when you can lose track and sight of really what matters. Like you said, it's the needs of the client. Like that guy, you can tell he didn't want to get rid of it, because at the end he didn't. You just gave him an alternative approach, which actually suited his needs better.
What's actually interesting with that story is he was short-term renting it, which he hadn't thought of before. He was making very good money on it because of, it was a 5-bedroom with swimming pool. So he was doing very, very well with it. And then he called me up one day out of the blue and he said, my business partner, he wants you to do the same thing and short-term rent his place for him. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. Connect us, give me my number, let him call me, that's fine. The business partner called me and he said, hi Ainsley, I see what you've done for my partner. I want you to do the same for me. I was like, sure, no problem. Where's your property? He's like, oh no, I don't have a property. I need you to go and buy that for me as well. And then I want you to go and short-term rent it. And I was like, cool, no problem. We can make that work.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Because you did such a great service for one guy, he's now recommended you to his circle and his friends and his, network. And I think that's what this job is about, is like just making sure you put that person first. And if you might not see the money right now, like you didn't sell it, you're not getting a check for sale, right? And it's like, but that's going to land you into much more business further down the line. And I think it's looking at the long term, not being so fixated on the short term.
Ultimately, I did actually sell that one, by the way.
A
year later, we short-term rented it, so we sold that one. But obviously, then he gave other referrals as well. So I still got that same money, plus obviously the extra, the additional as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, speaking now onto the negative experiences in Dubai. Obviously, us brokers, I mean, the moment I met you, I was like, we're going to do business. I mean, I really knew that and felt that. I remember like rocking up and you're like, I've just seen you come out your little Mercedes. and I said, look, it's hard to come by brokers that you like know and trust, but they're ethical as well. Because so many brokers will try and stiff you, go behind your back, try and contact your clients direct, try and cut you out the deals. We've all seen it. And it's like, sometimes you're dealing with cowboys. So have you got any interesting maybe bad experiences, or what are your thoughts on some brokers, like in terms of your experiences? Have you had anything?
So I'm a glass half full kind of guy anyway. Of course, I've I've had instances of the kind of things you're talking about. But the way I look at it is really, I look at it really quite straightforward for myself, really. When I interact and I meet a broker, I can tell pretty quickly how things are going to go. Now, if I have a bad experience or they show me anything that's negative, or I can sense that they're going to play around, or they give me a story about a time they did something else with somebody else and they played around, I'm just like, yeah, that's it. I'm not going to work with them anymore. And I really don't want to. Life's too short to be working with negative and bad people and people that just aren't thinking long term, because I am. So I need to work with other people that have got the same kind of mindset to that. And I'm more than happy to maybe not do that particular deal with that. Well, invariably, what actually ends up happening, if they're naughty at the beginning, they're usually naughty at the end anyway.
Yeah.
So it means even if they're trying to play around with it, just comes down to the viewing or whatever, they're giving you problems there, then invariably you get problems later on at the back end anyway. And the deal may well not even go through because of the way and their attitude and the way they do things. So bad brokers, I try and avoid them like the plague.
And there's enough good brokers out there that you
There's
can
some
go and
fantastic
work with, you know
brokers.
what I mean? Exactly.
One
Here's
interesting
two
thing,
of them.
there's two. Well, in fact, this is a great example, to be honest, because one of the things before I was fully immersed in real estate, I've always been doing real estate, whether it's working at Property Finder or doing something else. But one of the kind of the feelings and the thoughts, the perceptions that you have about real estate and about brokers is that they're all bad, that they're all naughty, they'll all sell their grandmother for the right price, right? That is exactly. But that is one of the things that I genuinely kind of thought, they're all a really bad bunch, right?
Yeah.
And I had that, and I hold my hands up, and it was. But when I actually became more involved in the industry, I learned and met so many nice people, such as you guys. And I was like, do you know what? There's so really, really nice people working in this industry, and it's such a pleasure to work with great brokers. So yeah, I'm a big fan. Those that are bad, avoid them like the plague, and those that are fantastic, when you meet them, even if you don't do a deal with them, but you know that they're good people, keep them close and send them a message, send them a call, and because those are the people that ultimately you want to work with, and we're fortunate enough in the world that we work in that we can create our own work environment.
Yeah. Also, the ones that are bad, they won't last. You know what I mean?
That's very true.
This is it's a hard industry here, and reputation goes so far out here. And you do one bad thing, one unethical thing,
that's right.
You're done.
That's right.
And we've seen it. We've seen it time and time again.
This is a village, not a city.
Yeah,
It's quite a big village, but
it's a nice village.
it's a nice village.
But nevertheless, it doesn't take long for word to kind of spread when you do something silly.
Name the market.
100%.
In terms of experiences with agents, how do you overcome brokers who are like, I don't work with brokers? The ones that are like very fixated on keeping a double commission, where you represent the buyer and the seller, and they're like, no, I'm not working, but your buyer wants to view this, and your buyer's obviously loyal with you, and you're their go-to guy.
Yeah.
You must have had that, because I've had it. We've all had it, but...
I believe some companies are more...
very much lean that way.
Yeah.
Very much lean that way. Some companies more than others very much lean that way. I have to answer honestly, and I have to say, when I hear them say that, it frustrates me, but I also think, once again, and this is only my opinion, so I don't want to offend any of the people that may be watching, but I think it's a short-sighted way of doing business.
Totally.
You're not looking out for your client. You've got the property there. Your client sat there wanting you to sell it for them. You've got somebody who wants to buy it, but because they want to make more money, they're not prepared to sit. They're stopping and holding up a deal from their client. No.
It's money grabbing, and it's horrible, really, because like you say, you're blocking someone buying that apartment, which ultimately is what you've been hired to do.
100%.
You're a service provider.
100%. Another thing, which is why I go back to, I feel it's short-sighted. Many of the owners here own multiple units.
Yeah.
It's not other markets where, in the UK, you might just have one house you live in and one rental property. Many of the owners here, they own multiple units.
Yeah.
The name of the game is to service them and to look after them as quickly, as efficiently, and as effectively as you possibly can. And not at the expense of not letting a sale go through where they could have potentially earned more money, but just because you're trying to line your own pocket.
Yeah.
So I see that short-sighted.
I mean, I agree. Perhaps I'm a little bit more mean.
Okay.
It's been times where I've actually contacted the owner directly.
Yeah.
Because I've figured out which property it is.
Yeah.
Contacted the owner directly and said, just want to point this out to you.
Yeah.
This is why your property's not selling.
Yeah.
not because your property's overpriced or it's something wrong with it.
Yeah.
Your property's not selling because your agent is too greedy
Yeah.
to share, to do a split deal.
Yeah.
And there's been times where the owner's like completely oblivious, has no idea that their exclusive agent is behaving like this. And I said, I've got 3 checks in my hand.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm coming to you so that you're aware. We're moving forward on another property.
Yep.
But just so you know. And the seller called me up and said, I fired the agent. Can you represent my property? And I said, you know what? Sometimes people need to learn lessons, and perhaps, most people would just sort of take it on the chin and move on. But with me, I was like, you know what? This agent needs to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
This is just not going to get you far in
Well,
life.
think about, could you imagine how angry you would be if you had a property, you'd appointed an agent that you know and trust, and you appointed them to do the job for you and get it sold as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're turning down viewings because they want to take more money out of your pocket.
Mm-hmm. And the agent called me up saying, I can open the door for you. I can give you a viewing. I said, the owners contacted me to say that I'm sorry, can you handle it? And I was just like, this is a big lesson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that all the time.
Yeah.
But when sometimes I
just
do
when
it.
you can't get in contact with the owner.
Yeah.
When I'm in the mood to, I'll do it.
But I say that's not something that I've done, but I understand the sentiment behind it, and I'm sure the owner actually probably very much appreciated the call because many times they've got no idea what's going on. And what could be impeding or slowing down the sale of their property. So
also half the time these agents don't even have the listings exclusive, and then they're trying not to do viewings with other agents. It's unbelievable. I mean, I do hope we get to a fully exclusive system one day. I think it works for both of our business models, where it's because maybe that could bring us back to listing on portals, because now you've actually got quality agents. You have to fight for a listing. You have to fight to represent that person, because the owner now can't just give it up to everyone. Do you think that would help Dubai, having a fully exclusive system where only one agent can sell your property, 3 month minimum contract?
Yeah, I think there are pros and cons to both, from both sides, both seller side, both broker side. There are definitely pros and cons. Typically, when I speak to many of my clients, I explain to them that unfortunately for them, there's only so many hours that I've got in the day.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to take on their listing, I need to be exclusive on it, because I need to be able to dedicate time to it. If you're going to give it to me and a few other people, I can't dedicate as much time to it, because
you can't invest money and
that's
resources
right.
as well when you know that, like, okay, well, there's a chance that I'm not going to see, I'm not going to get paid on all of this work. I'm just going to do it for free. Like, there's just no point.
Yeah, especially if you're willing to put the effort in with open houses, or some clients even have offered to do renders for, because it's an older property that could, if you can show people what it could look like, then that will help the sale.
20K right there.
And exactly. We're not willing to put that money in if it's all of a sudden not going to have it exclusive and someone else can sell it, and then
Correct.
It's crazy.
Yeah, the truth is, it costs money to market it properly, efficiently, and effectively
To a high standard.
To a high standard, especially if it's a property that pops. It's a beautiful, it's a nice property, a flagship property.
Yeah.
And I don't think even the seller themselves would want to spend all that money on a property if they haven't got the opportunity to be able to actually market and sell that property. So I think it makes sense, right?
If you see a property listed with 3 different brokers, the first thing you think is, what's wrong with it? Why it seems desperate out in the market. And they're one after another, because it's the same price in the same building.
And one agent will have done it 99999 as their thing, just get one done.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden the same client is speaking to 3 brokers for the same property.
That's right.
And then the owner gets a false sense of, I'm getting so much attention to my property. Correct. No, it's the same person, just came through 3 different avenues.
I think that's the bigger problem with it.
Yeah.
When you give it to multiple agents, and then you have a buyer that thinks they're being clever, and then they contact all 3. The one buyer contacts all 3 of the different agents.
He's going to get the
saying
best
different
price.
things, talking different things, trying to play one down against the other. Each of those 3 agents are going back to the seller and saying, I've got someone. And the client's thinking, there's at least 3 or 4 people that are interested in my property, but it's just one guy.
It's just Barbara.
Yeah, then they all of a sudden want to put their price up because they think
Exactly. It gives them an inflated sense of the market.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Makes them think that they can get more money for the property than maybe they necessarily can, and it kind of just like wastes everybody's time.
Buyers shot themselves in the foot by doing it, and I've said that. I said, look, I know you've put in multiple offers for the same property. Why? Now you've shot yourself in the foot. So, and I've had people lose a deal over it, where the seller's like, I don't like dealing like this. The fact they've gone to different agents to get a better price. No, I'm not selling to this person now.
Yeah.
And they've completely blacklisted the buyer. So that's a big issue for sure. Okay, I have a question. moving forwards.
Go for it.
You come from a background of property finder, where managing the Middle East, the whole side of it, and I think. How come you've shifted from working for one of the biggest portals in this country to now having your own sort of approach? You're actually a broker, but your approach isn't being on the portals so much.
Yeah.
I love the story. It's so poetic,
Yes.
but how come you shifted now and your brand is off-market listings?
Yeah.
So you've gone from running Property Finder
Yes.
to off-market listings.
So let me just tell you the short version of this another story. I went to a friend's house.
Yeah.
He had a beautiful property in Arabian Ranches. He'd renovated it himself. He'd spent an absolute fortune, swimming pool, new tiles, and it looked absolutely stunning. So we were in the kitchen. I'd only just arrived, and we were cutting lemons, making the drinks. At that point, he told me that he'd put his property on the market. He listed it with the portal, and he was absolutely devastated. And I was like, you've got a beautiful house. You want to sell it. You've put it on the portal. What's there to be devastated about? And he said, once he listed it and he put it on the portal, the very, very first person that came through to view the property was his immediate next door neighbour and her friend. Both of them came to do the viewing of the property. Both of them had their phones out on record from the get-go, and both of them walked around the entire property, recording the entire house, did the whole thing, upstairs, downstairs, thanked him at the end, went back next door, went and showed it to the husband and said, I want us to do this with our house. Now, my friend was genuinely really upset and genuinely really distraught by it. He was shook because when you put your own effort into it and your own ideas and you put it, and then somebody else comes around to record it, only to go and replicate it on the house next door, which obviously is, that's a direct next door neighbour. So that really upset him, and I was like, that's pretty interesting. Because obviously when you get a lead, you've got to let them come and view, you've got to do that kind of thing. I thought, I wonder if there's a way that we can kind of get around, because the way he felt really resonated with me to some extent. I could see how upset he was. And he actually took his house immediately off the market as well after that. He said, I don't even want to sell it anymore. Like he was really, I can't express how much he was upset by it. So I thought, I wonder if there's a way you can kind of get around that, so you can kind of like be able to vet the people even, in a stronger way, so that you're not able to have that kind of experience happen to you. As in, you could market it off market, so your next door neighbours or your street wouldn't necessarily know that you were selling your property, and the first time that they would know that the property is actually for sale is when the new buyers are moving in. Yeah. And that's where off-market listings was born. And then since then, we've had lots of different situations and scenarios where people have said, we want to sell it, but we don't want the whole neighbourhood or our family or whoever to know we're selling it. We'd rather have a discreet sale. We don't want it listed so people can publicly find it. We just want to be able to market it, sell it, amongst your network and that kind of thing, and be able to do it. So that's kind of where it came from. It wasn't something against anything else. And let's not also forget, for some clients or customers, if they say we'd like you to market it off market, they may also say, but can you also offer on market as well if we decide, or if we change our mind at a later stage? I'm like, sure, no problem, we can quite easily do both. So that's where that one came from. I'm not sure I answered the question there.
Yeah, no, you did. It's interesting that it came from a genuine gap in the market, a need, a friend of yours had a bad experience. And then you looked at the situation and identified, okay, what's an approach that we can implement here that could, so that he didn't have to go through that again.
Yeah, I felt bad for him.
So I think that's
I genuinely felt bad for him.
Oh, you would do. All that work, all that money spent, and then someone's came and just copy and pasted it.
Yeah.
Next door.
And she went on to go and do it next door as well. So it wasn't just a case of she would just record it to show her husband. She had no intention of purchasing the property, is what I think what upset him. Her intentions were just
nosy neighbours.
Just to be nosy neighbour.
You get a lot of people like that. You even get agents that will show properties to give them inspiration of what they can do in the next property. And it's just, again...
Please don't get me wrong. I'm not thinking that we can avoid this all completely.
Yeah,
but I'm thinking if there is a way or an option for people to be able to do something different, and have another different option, if they don't necessarily want to go on the portals, then they're able to have that as an option, and that's what we like to
We've
offer.
also had a couple of buyers, I know we've both experienced it numerous times, who have said to us, I don't want anything that's been listed on the market.
Yes.
Do you have anything exclusive? No one's seen it before. Yes. I've even had, I think we were working on something, and the guy said, how many people has this been marketed to?
Correct.
You get these questions in the market, so
Correct.
getting that exclusive feel, is important. And is that something you've experienced as well?
What's starting to happen now, because I'm now becoming, I was out the other for dinner at a restaurant the other day, and so, oh, you're Mr. Off Market, aren't you? So what's beginning to happen? I was like, I'm actually Ainsley, but yeah, I get where you're coming from. But what's starting to happen now is that people know that I specialise in off market, and that's almost becoming a niche. So then if they've got a buyer or a seller that wants to be off market, they're like, oh, he's looking for X, what have you got? And then I'm able to kind of share with them what we've got that's off market and it's not listed on the portals, and we do deals that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the best way you go about things when you don't use the portals? You leverage your social media, obviously. Obviously you have your own network, that you blast things out to, but you vet people. I think that's the main thing, is that there's a big level of vetting.
Yeah.
Whereas I think brokers that work in the large companies and the corporate companies where it's all about numbers and KPIs, they're so quick to take the call and take them straight to the property. Rather than say, like, let's work out and identify if this is even suitable for you, if you've got the funds for it, if you're in a position to sign on something. Because lots of people love window shopping. I mean, we've all been there with clients that are like, they're not in a position to buy anything for another year. But they want to go and shop around, and it's like they'll use all the properties, especially if it's vacant as well. Agents will be very quick to show them these properties because it's vacant, it's easy to access, and they'll use that as, oh yeah, this is this layout type, this is what this looks like. And that's why sellers have become very like resistant to, putting properties on the portals, because it's like, do you really have a buyer? I mean, if that's the first thing, if you speak to any seller, first thing they say is, do you have a buyer? Do you have a check? But do you actually have somebody, or are you just looking for a listing? Because so many brokers are looking for a listing. And it's so nice because when we speak to them, it's like, I don't want your listing. We don't operate at all on Property Finder or Bayou. So I say to them, first things first, I want to meet you. I want to get right in front of you. I'm old school. I'm from the UK. We're all about customer service. I want to meet you face to face. And then I want to understand what your direction is here. If you want to expand your portfolio, if you want to dissolve some of your assets. And I think they appreciate that. It's almost like music to their ears. It's like, wow, someone's calling me, and they don't want the listing. They don't want to chase for that, because that's all these agents. They want the listings, but it's not like they want to sell. It's like, I just need to hit 30 listings this month, and that's my target. So I just need your documents. Send me a title deed. Send me your passport. But then they'll fall off the radar when it comes to actively selling it. They're not actually working on who's the target audience, who's the buyer, where's the buyer coming from. So I think in terms of that shift, you obviously have the option of both on market and off market. Would you say, in terms of percentage, its majority is off market at the moment?
I would say this much: 8 out of 10 of the deals that I do, I can tell if the deal is there already on the telephone after speaking with them. But for exactly the same reason that you just spoke about. I've got no KPIs in terms of number of listings and number of viewings that need to be done this week and all that kind of stuff, right? I don't work like that. I'm actually in the same kind of way as you guys don't. I think that's something more the corporates have to have as a structure in order to kind of keep their numbers.
And it works for them.
Of course it does. Of course it does. To monitor their people and to make sure everyone's working, that kind of thing. I understand. So I don't work with any of that, and because of that, it enables me to have time to speak to somebody, understand exactly what they're looking for. I've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. I try and use them in that order, to listen twice as much as I speak, and then
he's good at that.
He's very good at that, right? and then to be able to find out what they're looking for, what their needs are, and not that one of those. When you get the new brokers, they kind of like, yeah, I know you're looking for a 3-bed, but I found a 6-bed that I think might be able to fit inside.
10 mil above your budget.
10 mil above your budget, but you need to look at it. If you look at it, you never know.
You need to buy this.
Yeah, exactly.
We
don't do any of that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's what makes a difference. And if you're able to do it that way and understand genuinely what they're looking for, and if you don't even understand what they're looking for, say no, I don't get it.
Don't be afraid to say.
Don't be afraid to say no, I don't get it. I need to understand exactly what you're looking for, because once I understand that, then we can then go and source it, or vice versa. If you want to sell it, if you're looking for a cash buyer, why are you looking for a cash buyer? And once we can understand that and work that back, I can say, well, there are other ways in which we can get around that and get to the same point that you want to be able to do what you want, but maybe not necessarily, in that particular way.
But that's the difference between a good broker and an exceptional broker. Because if you, like, for example, I had an instance where a seller was selling because he wanted to send money to the States to pay for his daughter's medical school. And and he also needed to fund his son's education in the UK. And he needed to split this money, basically, for both education. And I remember at the time, like the pound was weak, and it was a really good time to send money back, and we were arguing over 50k. 50,000 dirhams, which in the UK, you don't lose a property over £10,000. It just doesn't happen like that. So I was just like having to point it out, and I had to break down to him that, hey, if you look at the conversion now, that 50k we're arguing about already gets made up for in the conversion right now.
Yeah.
So like this is the time, and it's important to ask these questions. What's the purpose of selling? Is it that you need to send money to this country for this purpose? Is it we want to reinvest? Because you've got an instance right now where, you've got a seller that wants to sell a property because he wants to buy and flip the next thing.
Yeah.
But it's like to hold on something. Time is your biggest
opportunity cost.
That's what I mean.
By sitting and haggling about the price on this one,
100K,
when you understand what they want to do on the next one, you go, well, hang on a minute. If we get this one and we liquidate this asset, that frees up that money in order to enable you to be able to go and do what you need to do on the next. Well, you'll make 3x, 4x. With what we're discussing around here,
that's one of the biggest frustrations in the rental market is when owners have an unrealistic rent that they want, and then the property sits empty for 8 months, and then finally they get the rent, and they're all happy, they're all smug, and I say, well, you just lost 8 months of rent, so actually your yearly rent is only 4 months of that rate you just got, and people sometimes don't understand that.
No, they very rarely understand it.
You know what's mad? I have people that work in finance and bankers, and I'm saying, do you not understand what a void period is doing to you? I don't get it.
They got 8 months later, they're like, I got my price though, and I'm like, you lost 8 months of rent.
I think that has to be one of the most frustrating things to try and communicate and try and get across.
Yeah.
But I have to be honest, I've never managed to kind of master that one because, you're right. At the end of it, I got my price though. Yeah, you did, but it's been empty for 6 months.
Exactly.
I still got my price though. Yeah, but we've lost 6 months of rent. I still got my price though. I'm like, okay, cool. You are right. You definitely got your price.
Sometimes you just gotta like nod your head and keep going. Interesting. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit.
Go for it.
I want to put you both on the spot actually.
Wow. Okay.
So I'll ask Ainsley first, but off-plan market right now. One project, if you had all the money in the world right now, what are you investing in today off market? Off-plan.
Off-plan, yeah. So in fact, Dylan and I were also speaking about this earlier before we came in. I'm really bullish on Russell Kamer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that all of the market, all of the brokers quite fully appreciate what's going to be happening up there and quite how big this is going to be. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a game changer, not just for Russell Kamer, not just for the UAE. This is going to be a game changer, not only just for the region, for the world, because nothing like this has ever been done to this level within such close proximity to so many people around the world. We all know, within 6 hours flight, you can kind of almost reach 80% of the world in terms of. So nothing has been done like this. I don't even think the world is large enough for us to even experience anything quite similar to this again. So I think we're at a pivotal point. To answer your question, Russell Kamer, I would say, is definitely something that's very, very attractive. I would say a off-plan property there are quite a few. That are there, Armani, Nikki Beach. I mean, there's quite a few there that are going up, that are looking. And I also believe there'll be more that will also be coming that will also be one. So I don't want to pin myself on one.
Yeah.
But I would say the region, the area, I'm very bullish about Russell Kamer. I think there's going to be strong returns there, not only just in the appreciation values, but also I'd say in the rental values there, both short-term and long-term. From 2027 is going to be really, really good. So that's where I'm at.
100%, and I'm going to be boring because I would have said the exact same
I
thing.
knew
But
you would.
You should have asked him first.
I should have.
I know. But no, I totally agree with you. I think that is going to be a one-of-a-kind product, like you said, in the world. Not only do you have the beach, you've got the casino. You're an hour away from Dubai.
Yeah.
Like you said, you can get to 80% of the world's countries from Dubai International Airport. So it's such a unique commodity in itself. And we were mentioning before how Dubai and Abu Dhabi experience the high and low season because of the weather, but that casino is going to keep Ras Al Khaimah busy all year round. Yeah. So as a rental product, that is just going to be, I think that's going to outperform most things in the planet. Yeah, I truly believe that. Capital appreciation, I mean, there's on certain payment plans, you can double your money by handover. Yeah, and that's on a conservative 10% growth per year. Yeah. It's unbelievable. I honestly think the opportunity over there is one of a kind, one that we're not going to see again. So
One other last point, sorry to go on and go on because I'm really, really keen on it, but I would say if you're going to get a rental property, an investment property for rental, sorry, I should say, wouldn't you like it to be next to, an iconic casino with over 1,500 rooms? Because imagine how much marketing they're going to do to make sure that their hotel's busy on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right?
yeah, true.
That's what I mean.
Good point.
You
So
can piggyback off that.
if you've got 1,500 rooms, your marketing budget needs to reflect that to make sure you're busy on a Tuesday,
Oh yeah,
right?
because they need to be full,
Correct.
right?
Friday, Saturday, all well and good.
Right.
Tuesday's just as important. They need to have bodies going through there. So with the amount of money, and I don't know the budget, but you can imagine, and I've seen what they've done in Las Vegas, and you guys I know have recently been to Macau. So they're going to be spending significant amounts globally to market and to drive people. I would love to have my 2 or 3 bedroom. Not
Right
too
next to
not
that,
yeah not
yeah.
too far away from that. For those people that go online, see the Wynn Casino, think maybe I might not stay there this time. I might want to rather stay in an Airbnb or
Yeah.
a short term rental. Might be a little bit cheaper. I'll do that, but I'd love to get them off the back of that.
Yeah,
that
you're
kind of
right, because
advertising
they're going
budget.
to hammer out the advertising. A casino makes its money over the table, so they're going to hammer the advertising just for the experience.
Correct.
Because we've already talked about there's an Ibiza Beach Club coming up right beside the casino. So where else in the world can you get that experience of a Las Vegas style, Dubai style, Ibiza
is
style,
there.
Ushuaia? Yeah. So it's going to be unbelievable. And yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that.
Jump on the back of their marketing.
That's what I mean.
Exactly.
You can
And
just jump off the back of them. In addition, sorry to
No,
interrupt you,
go for
I'm
it,
a
go
little
for it.
passionate about this, but
As am I.
As with all the artists that will naturally
Oh,
come,
100%.
and
World
all the
class.
events that will come, and I mean, it just doesn't stop. It kind of keeps going. So yeah, off the back of that, I'd feel confident.
And think about the New Year's events that are going to be there as well. Already, prices hike in downtown and the Palm Jumeirah, where you have all the fireworks shows, right? The Wynn Casino are going to be better than all of them. It's going to be unbelievable what they're going to do there.
Like, just to give you an idea, like in Abu Dhabi, lots of my clients who own properties on Yas Island make up their entire yearly ROI just on that 1 week of Formula One.
Yeah.
Because it's the biggest Formula One event all year round. It's the most expensive Formula One. It's the most iconic. It's the finale. That 1 week alone makes up for the entire year of it not being busy so much.
Imagine that on
Imagine
steroids.
that on steroids with a casino, with the largest water park they're putting in the Middle East right there. There's so much more that's happening that we're still getting in at an early level. This is still an early stage. And I think
Also,
people
where do
don't
you think people are
appreciate
going to
that.
go on the weekend of the F1 after they've watched the cars racing? They're going to jump on a yacht that will take them right down to Al Marjan.
Or a helicopter.
Or a helicopter, yeah. And they're going to jump straight into the
Dubai
casino.
style.
Because why not? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the point you made.
Yeah.
It's going to be. I don't think everybody fully understands. But we're still some years off. But I don't think everyone fully understands exactly what's going to be taking place down and
Right.
quite how big and how iconic. And the other thing that's important to mention: studios or one bedrooms there, you can get them from as little as like 1 million dirhams.
So cheap right now. It's so cheap. We're looking at one right now, and we're like, because we did a staycation there. We went there, and it's like this real estate. Like, yeah, this one is a particular old building as well. It's like overlooking the ocean, right? It had a sunset view, uninterrupted. Nothing's coming up there. Like, it's the sea, and it's like, wow, this is 800,000, 600,000 for a studio. Like, this is great, and like ocean. It's got its own beach for that residence as well. It's got tennis courts, pools, everything. Whether you're buying it now and you can start renting it out. There's real estate there to be done, on Al Marjan Island. But get in on the Offplan now.
I'm excited to go as well.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be... Just think about that
I'm
experience.
nervous
Going
about
down,
him going.
You're going to the beach, you're going to the casino, you're going to the club. Like, it's everything in one. And you're only an hour's drive away.
It's incredible. It's truly, and it'll be great for the country as well because it means visitors that are able to come here now. There's so much to offer them. I sometimes say Dubai or the UAE is like the internet. It's not possible to say you hate the internet because no matter what you're into, if it's
There's something.
gardening or fishing or snorkeling, or no matter what you're into,
There's something for
you
everyone.
can find that on the internet. I think Dubai is very fast becoming, if not already, into the internet because you can't hate it. If you want to have nature, you want to go snowboarding. It's not snowboarding, sandboarding.
You got ski Dubai.
In fact, you can go snowboarding. If you want to go snowboarding, you can do that as
That's
well.
what I mean. And Saudi's building their own ski resorts.
There you go.
So,
There you go.
But yeah, okay, cool, exciting. And then, do you have any other questions? I think I have one more.
I just want to ask you a quick one.
Go on.
Penthouse or a villa?
For who?
For you.
To live in.
Yeah.
I have my 6-year-old daughter, so I would definitely be looking at the villa because I think she would prefer that rather than skyline views out of the penthouse.
What would you prefer though?
No, I prefer what's best for her. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. If it makes her happier, even 5% happier, I'm all over that.
Listen to this. That's like the perfect answer.
It's the genuine answer. It's the truth. Yeah.
I don't have any kids yet. So.
Villa. Yeah, when you have kids, before the kids,
Yeah.
I would have said penthouse all day long. But now I definitely villa's the future.
A follow up of that.
Yeah.
Where's the villa?
Where would the villa be?
Your ideal villa. Money's not an
Dubai.
object. Where are you buying? What is it?
Oh, what community? Oh, that's a really good question.
It's a thinker.
That is a.
Are you a golf course kind of guy? A beach kind of guy?
No, I'm not a golf course kind
You're
of
not
guy.
a golf? Okay.
No, I'm also not a beach kind of guy. I don't like sand between my toes. I don't mind looking at the beach,
Yeah.
but I don't really like sand
where's
between
your
my
villa
toes.
gonna be?
Maybe a Talal then.
Yeah,
a Ferrari?
but do you know what? Let me tell you another really boring story again. I'm really sorry.
Go for
It's a
it.
lot of story time. I love
There's all
it.
these boring stories. Before I came to Dubai, I watched a Discovery Channel documentary about them building the Palm Jumeirah.
Right.
So I was watching the Dutch company that came over, that was doing the dredging and putting the rocks in and GPS coordinates, and it's really boring and all this kind of stuff. But I watched it and I loved it. And I thought the vision of actually building an island in the middle of the ocean when the majority of people said it couldn't be done. So the fact that, the Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum has done that, had that vision and has now brought that to life. And then the fact that I used to dream about, one, coming to Dubai, and two, being able to see that Palm Island. And for me now to live on that Palm Island, and then for you to ask me the question, I would say after that, because it's been such a long story, I will go for the Palm Villa, and my daughter will like that too as well. So I'll go for the villa on the Palm, even though I don't like sand between my toes, but I'll wear flip-flops and it'll be okay.
There you go. And you're on probably the most iconic island in the world.
Yeah, that's very true. That's not a bad address.
I like it. Good answer.
So the final one to wrap up is what advice would you have for buyers and sellers investing in the UAE right now?
Buyers and sellers investing in the UAE right now.
Selling, sorry.
You can't say use one of us three as a broker because that's a cop out.
I won't say use one of us. I won't say. I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah,
exactly.
That would be. No, what I would say is find a broker that you understand and that you're on the same wavelength with.
Yeah.
I would say find the broker that has experience and has particular market knowledge. And I would say work exclusively with that broker.
Yeah.
It will pay dividends. Working with a good broker that understands what they're doing. The majority of the clients that I work with, the brokerage fee is negligible because the advice and the suggestions, and I'm sure it's exactly the same for you guys, the recommendations that you give them, even if it's just a telephone number for a bank for finance that gets them a lower rate than what they would have got themselves if they'd just gone to the bank that they typically go with, they're already saving the money just on that. Whereas a new broker may not have any idea and said, have you got a finance? All I care about, can you afford to buy this place? I don't care how much. Are you with me?
Yeah.
So I would say, find a good broker, find someone that understands the game, that's knowledgeable, and also has your best interest at heart and not their pocket.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because the client I have, he's coming from the US, never been here, like he's been here passing by on holidays, but never invested here. Yeah. It's very much a first time for him. His family, he's moving out with his family. And he was referred to from an old client of mine.
They're the best ones.
The best ones. Because also it's coming from a place of there's trust already there, But what was so interesting is that he was so impressed because I had a number for everything. I was literally like, see me as the plug, right? Yeah. I've got a number for absolutely every single thing you need. You need someone, like he's coming out here and he needs the cars sorted, he needs his family sorted, he needs a maid sorted. Yeah. I have a number for absolutely everything from the handyman, the best handyman in town, to the best guy for the Wi-Fi installation, to the best guy for the renting your car. Anything you need, I can recommend the hospitals, the schools. I've got a contact in each place. And that doesn't come overnight. That's taken me 5 years of work, perseverance, blood, sweat and tears experience to get these connections. So when you're working with me, you're not just paying me your broker fee because I was your broker for this transaction, you've got me for life.
Correct.
I'm your go-to person, and that's why I want people to see me as not just your agent. She's my go-to person for anything related to all my affairs in the Middle East. She's got me.
Yeah.
If they need something for foreign exchange, they want to save money, they're moving funds over, I've got them. If they need help with crypto, they need to convert crypto, I can help them.
Yeah.
Any angle they need, it doesn't even have to be real estate related. My client just messaged me this morning saying, hey, I'm coming out with some girls, can you tell me some of the best places, the best beach clubs? Whole list sent across, done. But it's like, that's how a broker who is an all-encompassing,
Correct.
360 one-stop shop, that is what sets you apart
100%.
so much more.
Well,
I would use you guys as my broker if I needed one.
There you
So you're preaching to the choir. I'm convinced. I'm convinced.
I'm holding you to that, by the way.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Go on.
Yeah, do you want to buy some Russell Cayman?
Exactly.
Don't think I need to sell you on it.
Exactly.
But no, I fully agree with that. I think it's any smart person who's going to be investing in property should be building a team. And on that team, you need a rock star broker. And then that broker now is an extension of you. Whenever they're out in the market, they're thinking of you at the forefront. You know, if they see a good deal, you're the first person that will come into mind. If they know that they have that trust, they have that exclusivity with you, and you're not going to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of level of trust you need to build. You need to be able to build a solid team, and it just makes your life so much easier. And you forget about the 2%, broker fee. That won't even, like you said, it doesn't even come into play. It's negligible because of the value. The added value is worth more than 2% of having someone on your side, on your team, fighting for you out there in the market. And not worrying that you're going to undercut them and go to another agent and buy through this, because that's just messy, it's just nasty. No one wants that. Just have them on your team, and I fully agree.
By you saying that, you just reminded me of one other thing that's also quite important. Just lastly,
hit us with it.
In closing, it's a two-way street. Most people think it's all about the brokers having to market themselves to the clients, but that's not necessarily the case. What's also equally as important is all the clients that you've got as you're working, you're going through. It's also important for the client to market themselves back to the broker. And the reason I say this is because when you say about, if you get, a property that needs to be sold very, very quickly, the person wants to leave the country and they want to, execute very, very quickly on it. And they may want a cash deal, for example, right? But they need to do cash sometime this week. Out of all the different clients that you've got that may well be able to execute on that cash, you need to decide which one of those is the one that's going to get the phone call, the first call in order to get it, right? Because if there's someone that can afford it, likes opportunities such as that, they also need to endear themselves the other way so that they can be the first call and not the 13th call. Because by that time somebody else could have taken it, and they could have lost out on opportunity as well. So as with all business and as with all transactions, these things are a two-way street. The broker obviously wants to do as best as they can for the client, but also for the client, the better once you found that magic, good, great broker and you're able to work with them, keep them sweet because they can help you make even more money because they can be you can be the phone call that they put in when they've got a fantastic offer and a fantastic deal. And a few of my clients, they like that and they say, right, steak dinner for you, Ainsley. And I'm like, I'll happily accept because I know that what's been done has been beneficial for them.
No, that's a great point.
That. Well, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. It's been so much fun, and we can't wait to continue working with you. And you heard it here first, guys. So if you want to invest today, the recommendation is Ras Al Khaimah, which all three of us unanimously agree with. So thank you so much for sharing your insight.
We're all Dubai brokers, but
we're all based out of Dubai.
Well, that's a testament.
Invest in the other Emirate.
Like, don't get me wrong, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, they're full of great investments. You can find great investments all over. But I think our heart is just lying with Ras Al Khaimah because right now, probably these next 6 months, these prices are not going to be here. People in a year's time, 2 years' time, especially when the casino's finished in 2027, they're going to be looking at us like, get us some property. I'm like, where were you 3 years ago? You didn't believe me then, and now
exactly.
So that's what we have with Ras Al Khaimah. So it's a really special project, I think.
It must be quite funny for like an international viewer to be sat in New York watching us and go, like, you guys work in Dubai, you've got Burj Khalifa, you've got Palm Island, you've got all this, and these guys are all talking about this on the flight.
They're like, Ras, we don't even know about that.
What's going on? Like, they must be mad. So that is quite funny. But yeah,
you know what it is, when you start hearing about it too much, that'll be too late. So
it will be too late then. That's it.
It's the same with everything, the crypto. By
if you want to know more information, just give us a call and we'll talk you through it.
But thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
I think we really sort of complement each other's sort of style in terms of what you stand for and what you do for your clients as well, and just your whole business model of off-market listing. So, here's to doing more business together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode.